Hey guys, what's up? It's Diana, and I kind of want to go to Red London. So as you might have guessed, today I'm going to be reviewing V.E. Schwab's A Darker Shade of Magic. As usual, the first part of this review is going to be spoiler-free. I will focus on the plot, aspects of the writing, and the characters without getting too much in depth. The second part will contain spoilers. We'll get into how I felt about things that happened in the novel, how I felt about the characters on a deeper level, and there will be spoilers. But I will warn you before I get to that part. Let's get started. V.E. Schwab's A Darker Shade of Magic came out last year in February, I believe. I was really excited when this novel was announced because I had read V.E. Schwab's Vicious a couple years back, and I loved that. So this was a young adult series that was coming out, and I was like, okay, yes, I'm totally on board with this. Let's do it. So the book actually features two main characters. The first is Kel. He's an Antari, which is a magical being that can travel between worlds. And in this novel, there are three different Londons that have a different relationship with magic. There's Red London, where Kel is from. It's thriving with magic. Everything's hunky-dory for the most part. And the ruling family is Kel's adopted family. So he is their official messenger. And he's tasked with delivering messages from one London to the next. There's also White London, whose magic is dying out. And it's a very dangerous place to be, full of people who are desperately trying to reclaim that magic and exert their power. It's ruled by the Dane twins, who are very creepy and very bad people. You do not want to run into these guys. They're weird and they're evil. And then there's Grey London, which would be the London we would know had we been living in the 1800s, ruled by King George III, who is slowly losing his mind. There's also a fourth London, Black London, but that was destroyed years ago when magic sort of went out of control. Now, prior to the novel's opening, these four Londons were all connected and you could travel freely between them, but since magic sort of went haywire in Black London, they shut the doors in order to save themselves. So now the only people that can travel between the Londons are Antari. And Kel is one of the last of the Antari. There are theoretically other Antari. There is one other Antari in this book, but he is very much a dying breed, which makes him valuable and rare. Kel also delivers artifacts between the Londons as sort of a side business, even though this is very illegal. And when one of the artifacts that he's delivering turns out to be a very magical, powerful item, it puts him directly in the path of the other main character, Lila Bard, who is a pirate captain thief extraordinaire. When they figure out what the artifact is, what it does, who wants it, and what they want it for, they sort of go on an adventure to sort of protect the world and make things right. And that's really what this book is about. I've always enjoyed V.E. Schwab's writing. It's very detailed, it's very rich. Her prose is very on point. You definitely feel like you're there in all different Londons, and that's really difficult considering the Londons have very distinct personalities. So Red London feels very different than White London, which feels very different than Grey London. And it's really a testament to how good of a writer she is that everything managed to feel completely different and real at the same time. She pays a lot of attention to detail to really root the reader in the scene, and I really appreciate that in literature. Because a lot of times I get a vague picture in my head and I sort of have to fill in the details on my own. This doesn't happen here. We know what the clothes look like, we know what it smells like, we know what it sounds like, and it's amazing. This is also a historical novel, which really adds a lot more to the plot. And it manages to incorporate alternate universes. So there's a lot going on, a lot needing to be explained, and it's all done flawlessly. In a lot of cases, having so much detail in a plot can really slow it down, but that did not happen here. We were always moving, it was very action-based, and I was always wondering what the heck was going to happen next. So all in all, the writing was amazing and I really enjoyed it. Now let's talk about the characters. The characters, in my opinion, were a little underdeveloped. I cared about Kel maybe 25% of the time. Usually only when he was interacting with his brother Rye or with Holland, the other Antari. And it's strange because she sets him up with an interesting history and backstory and doesn't really do anything with it. Kel's an odd character because he does feel out of place. He's one of the last of his kinds, and he's not whiny, but he's just sort of lost, and he acts out because of it, which I found kind of odd. He's not cocky, he's not arrogant, he's just kind of bored. Still, his personality remained kind of flat to me, like day-old soda almost. We don't really know what motivates him other than a love for his family, and I just felt like there wasn't a whole lot to his character. Or at the very least, his character wasn't explored effectively. Lila was better for me. I ended up really liking Lila by the end of the novel, but in the beginning, she's not a very likable character. And she's not really supposed to be. She's very independent, she's very proud, she's very stubborn, she's very self-sufficient, she's got sort of this tragic backstory going on, and she'll cut you if you get in her way. She has absolutely no problem being ruthless or killing people, and I love that about her. Right now my cat is actually climbing into a Barnes & Noble bag, so that is the sound you were hearing. Say hi to the internet, chapter. Mwah. I really appreciated that Lila's character was very hardcore. She was definitely one of my favorite parts of the novel. But it did take me a while to get there because she was almost too hard, too ruthless, too vindictive in some cases. But as the novel progressed, we did see flashes of vulnerability and a softness to her that I thought really added to her layers as a character. But Kel, who knows? I mean, I could take or leave him at this point. I do think his character will be improved upon in the sequel, which is due out next winter. So I have hope there, but I definitely felt he was a lackluster character in A Darker Shade of Magic. And like I said, the only time I really liked him was when he was interacting with his brother Rye or with Holland, because those were some really intense interactions and it really gave me a better look at who he was as a person. Kel and Lila do end up sort of having these very flirty, almost romantic moments, which I liked and I found funny and adorable because they're such different characters. Lila is actually more of the masculine, arrogant, sort of swashbuckling character who doesn't need anybody to rescue her. In fact, she'll probably end up rescuing you. And Kel's sort of like, wait, hold on. Can you just stop stealing things? Can we not kill people? Is there another way to do this that involves less death? And it was a very interesting switch up that I really enjoyed. I'm more of a plot-based person, so the fact that the characters were a little underdeveloped didn't really take away from my enjoyment of the novel, but I can definitely see it impacting other people's impressions of it. So if you're more of a character-driven person, you're probably going to find this a little bit wanting. And there really isn't a whole lot of romance in this novel, so if you're into love stories, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed, although I'm sure that as the series progresses, it's going to become a focal point. Overall, this was a really great story with characters that had a lot of potential. Schwab is a gifted storyteller that paints vivid pictures with her prose, and I really enjoy her work. I do wish she'd spent a little more time crafting the characters, and it was particularly annoying to me because she does such a great job with the world that I was like, why aren't the characters as equally rich? What happened here? But it wasn't enough to really hinder my enjoyment of the novel overall. I gave it 4 to 4.5 stars. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next installment. I will be kindling that. If you like historic books with a hint of science fiction and alternate universes, definitely pick this up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's action-packed, it's an adventure, it's got characters that have potential, and I think you'll probably like it. Now stop watching, because spoilers! So I really want to talk about Holland for a bit because he was the other Antari traveler and he had the most interesting backstory out of everyone in this novel, according to me. And this is my opinion, so I'm the authority on it. He was sort of a villain, but sort of not a villain, but also sort of a villain because when he failed to get power, someone who actually did end up getting power took away his free will and used him as a puppet and made him do their evil bidding, which made me feel sorry for him, but not really considering he was still at the very root kind of evil. Although I did find it interesting how he never actually really wanted to kill Kel. He definitely tried to avoid it at all costs. I think probably because he doesn't actually like being one of the last of his kind and he really just didn't want to kill him, but he absolutely would have killed him if he had to. So yeah, all in all, the guy's still evil, but I really enjoyed his story and I wish we had gotten to see more of it. And I think he's dead now, although it's kind of ambiguous. Nobody really officially said that he's dead. Kel said he was nearly dead, and then the Dane twins were like, well, you killed my plaything. And I was like, well, is he really dead or is he not dead? So if he's dead, I'm sorry, because I really wanted to see more of him, and he served as such an interesting foil for Kel. He was the one who wanted power at all costs and would do anything to get it, and Kel sort of doesn't want power, but ends up having it and has to figure out how to best use it and what he's going to do with it. Lila grew on me as a character, and at first I was like, girl, you need some therapy, but I honestly really ended up loving her and her duality, her tough exterior, but her vulnerability, and the feelings she tries so hard to mask. She displayed grief when Baron died, and that was one of my favorite parts of the novel because Kel sort of picked up on it and she was like, no, I don't really care that much, but she really did, and I just really enjoyed that. Her character is rich and more textured than a lot of the other characters, and I really just appreciated how she was sort of more masculine than Kel, even though he was, you know, the dude. And she's a pirate captain, thief. She wields weapons, she's hardcore, she's a badass, and I just really, really appreciated that. And now we're kind of left wondering if she's Antari, because at the end of the novel we find out that she has one eye. Now why does she have one eye? Was her other eye like Kel's, marking her as an Antari? Like, what's going on there? And it would explain why she has trace amounts of magic. On the one hand, I kind of think it would be really cool for that to happen. On the other hand, I think it's kind of predictable, because now we'll have both Kel and Lila, who are the last of their kinds, who, you know, form this bond, and of course they're gonna end up together. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know what to say about Kel because he really annoys me sometimes. It almost seems like he just doesn't really care much about anything aside from Rye and his family. But obviously he's always doing the right thing. He's always fighting the good fight and trying to keep people out of danger. So I do appreciate that about his character. But honestly, why was he acting out in the first place? Making deals with the different Londons, transporting objects when he knows it's illegal. It's no wonder that he got set up. Even though Rye had admonished him several times not to be getting involved in this stuff because there was nothing he could do to help him if he was caught. He was just sort of like, I do what I want. I'm just like, well, Kel, stop. Like, knock it off. And it sucks because his family really cares about him. It's not like he's their token adopted child. They actually legitimately care about him as a person, not just as their messenger. So I really just didn't get his whole rebelliousness. Another thing that I found interesting was that Rai is very aware that people find Kel attractive, both male and female. And it's also hinted that Rai sort of swings all ways. But he is open to whatever flirtation's available to him so long as he's in the mood. And I thought that that was really cool. It also made me ship them a little, which I wasn't really sure if I was supposed to be doing, but I kind of was, and I actually made a Tumblr post about it, and V. Schwab liked it, so homegirl, I see you. Although that's probably not going to go anywhere, and that's just me being me. And finally, I hope that we get to see Black London. I hope that this is sort of like a Mordor situation where everybody just thought Black London was dead, but secretly they've been building up this evil army, and when we finally get to Black London, all hell is going to break loose. That's my wish. I think it's definitely going to come into play in some way, and I'm really looking forward to what's been happening behind that closed door and what Black London actually looks like. Who's left? Who's ruling? Is there anybody left? Is everything just dead? Is it just this giant black oblivion? I don't know, but I really want to find out. Overall, I gave this book 4 to 4.5 stars. I did take away some points due to the uneven character development, but I really enjoyed this book. I'm definitely going to be picking up the rest. So what do you think? Have you read this? Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite London? Who are you shipping? Tell me your thoughts and we'll chat because it's my favorite thing to do. On another note, I am almost at 100 subscribers, so thank you. I do have a giveaway plan, so keep your eyes open for that. And I will see you soon. I don't know what we'll be talking about, but hey, it's always an adventure with me. Bye!